The film starts with Erik thinking to himself while having dinner with his parents. They are laughing and ignoring him. His father slaps him and is a very strict man. He disciplines him with a belt after dinner while his mother plays the piano. Later on, we see Erik in a street fight, beating a stranger very badly. Erik has no mercy for the badly wounded man. He then goes to speak to the headmaster of the school because of his bullying. The headmaster is shocked by how brutal and vicious Erik is. Erik does not care at all. We learned that Erik is academically very gifted, and some of the teachers defend him even though he is so vicious and violent. The headmaster goes as far as to call him evil and that he needs a good beating. Erik's father has since passed away and his mother has remarried. They are selling the family home. The family lawyer is also Erik's father's friend and approaches Erik privately, asking him about some theft and stealing cases he was involved in but was not proven legally. Erik's mother wishes she had done things differently with Erik and tells him that he will be transferring to a new boarding school. She is desperate for Erik to push through and finish school and begs him to try. The new school is far from the country and is a collection of very beautiful and old buildings. Erik has put on his fancy new school uniform and is approached by Otto Silverhielm, the head of the school council. Otto takes Erik on a quick tour around the campus and shows Erik to his room. Erik shares his room with Pierre Tanguy. Pierre is not the sporty type and isn't involved with swimming like Erik, but prefers reading. His father is a rich Swiss businessman. The two roommates bond over a film and head over to dinner time. Everyone says their prayers and begin eating. We meet another character by the name of Johan that is in Erik's class. We learn that the school dinner seating arrangement is sorted out by different social standings. A boy next to Erik uses bad language and is immediately disciplined. He stands up in front of the entire hall and is hit hard on the head. The teachers do not care at all, and we learn that the entire school discipline system is run by the students themselves. Erik and Pierre find some cigarettes Pierre hid earlier and smoke. Pierre explains how the punishments work in this school, and Erik reveals that he really wants to try and do well here. The next day starts. Erik is discussing something with Johan and uses bad language by accident. One of the senior students at his table attempts to discipline Erik, but Erik refuses. He instead opts for weekend detention, but Johan gets punished anyway. Erik wants to use the school pool, but some boys tell him that he can't swim there unless he is on the school team. Erik tells them that he can easily beat the school record and wants to get on the school team. He impresses the other swimmers and instantly joins up. Later on, Pierre tells Erik that he should be careful. He should not stick out and keep a low profile. It is better to remain unnoticed at this school. There's a knock on the door and Erik is summoned to the senior boarding house. The seniors push him to polish all of their shoes as punishment, but Erik refuses to do so. The other head boys are not sure how to react to Erik's deference, but Otto assures them that he is still new. Erik is worried. He does not want to fight them as he will get expelled, but he does not want to bend down and do what they say. Pierre and Erik share a nice moment before bed and reveal that they are both true friends to one another. After class the next day, Dahlén, the head boy, bumps into Erik and demands he apologize. Erik refuses and Dahlén challenges him to the ring later that night. The ring is a tiny, violent discipline in which two senior students beat down on a single misbehaving student. That student is able to not attend, but he will be called a rat. Erik is unsure whether or not he wants to attend the ring for his punishment. He's not a coward, but he does not want to get in trouble. He calls his mother and tries to comfort her. Erik chooses not to step in the ring with Dahlén and Otto and is called a rat by everyone in the school. Later on, Pierre and Erik's dormitory is randomly searched. The senior boys just throw their belongings everywhere and make a huge mess. The next day at swimming practice, the sportsmaster Berg approaches Erik after practice and tells him that he is a naturally talented swimmer that could win the tournament. Erik is summoned in front of the student council. They list the bad things he's done. Erik keeps disrespecting the student council and keeps getting more and more detentions. He does not care. His first detention was to dig a hole in the rain and then fill it up again. He starts to get angry at Dahlén for this useless task, but doesn't do anything about it. He goes to have dinner by himself and meets Marja, one of the working staff. She is nice and friendly to him and the two chat, but Pierre warned Erik before that it is forbidden for the students to speak to the staff or else they would get expelled. The weekend arrives and due to Erik's punishment from the student council, he is not allowed to go home. Most of the other students leave. Erik goes to eat and meets Marja again. She invites him for a walk later that night. Erik meets Marja later that night and the two kiss each other. They seem to have a connection. There is a threat that the student council will attack Erik and embarrass him later that night. He locks up his door and attempts to defend himself. The student council manages to open the door and throws in a bucket of filthy toilet water. It is absolutely disgusting and goes everywhere in the room. Erik fills up the bucket again and goes back to the student council dormitory. He takes the filthy bucket of toilet water and sneaks into Otto and Dahlén's room. He pours the bucket on Otto's head and runs away. No one can prove that it was Erik that did it. Erik starts to taunt and mock Otto during mealtime the next day. Otto can't help himself and starts beating Erik's face very badly. Marja sees this and can't help but shouts out. Finally, one of the teachers arrives and tells the boys to stop it. Erik sneaks out to meet Marja. The two kiss and he asks her to come and watch him swim in the tournament. Erik ends up winning his races. Before the last race, the other swimming team tells Erik to lose on purpose, even though the sportsmaster tells him to try. Erik starts slowly on purpose so as not to get disqualified and ends up winning anyway. Erik comes home and sees his mother and stepfather. Erik has a good report card and has won the school swimming championship. Over dinner, his stepfather tells him how angry he is about the sea for behavior and disciplines Erik with his belt just like in the opening scene. Erik returns to the school and calls out to Marja, but she ignores him. Erik is unpacking and brought a Christmas present for Pierre. Pierre brought Erik a law book because he said he wanted to be a lawyer. Over mealtime, Otto starts provoking Pierre, even though he actually hadn't done anything at all. Pierre is forced to face the student council and gets 3 weekend detentions for absolutely nothing. Furthermore, the student council boys come directly to Erik and Pierre's room and start harassing Pierre. They end up urinating directly into his bed and leave. The student council is trying to get at Erik, but they're doing so by harassing Pierre. The next day, Erik reveals that he wants to stop swimming to the sportsmaster. He meets Marja, but she tells him that she can't be with him because she doesn't want to lose her job or see him expelled. Erik is then called to the student council dormitory. Pierre is naked with Dahlén and Otto looking to burn him with a lit cigarette. Erik offers himself to be burned instead. Dahlén burns him, but Erik does not flinch. He is filled with rage. Otto tells Pierre to attend the ring tomorrow and informs Erik that all this could be avoided if he had just followed the rules. Pierre wants to go to the ring. He doesn't want to be called a rat. He stands up for his honor even though Erik advises him not to. At the ring later that night, Pierre has no chance whatsoever. He tries his best but is beaten down. Erik watches on but cannot do anything. Later that night, Erik is chased down by the student council. They tie him to some stakes and pull out a knife. They pour boiling water on him. They even force Johan to do it. Then, leaving Erik out in the freezing cold, tie him to the ground. Marja arrives in the night and unties him, taking him to her room and taking care of Erik. The two lie together in bed and kiss. They share a romantic moment. The next day, Erik returns to his room and discovers that Pierre has left the school forever. Erik is deeply saddened by this. The sportsmaster finds Erik and wants to make sure that everything is all right. Erik has had enough and approaches Dahlén, challenging him to the ring in 1 hour. Dahlén and another council member face off against Erik and are quickly brought to the ground. But Erik does not let them off easily, repeatedly beating them to a pulp. After winning in the ring, Erik tries to find Marja, but learns that she has been fired and no longer works at the school. Turns out that Marja was pregnant and has left. She sends Erik a letter informing him of this, but Otto searches his room, sees the letter, and heads off to find the headmaster in order to get Erik expelled. Erik is called to the headmaster's office. The headmaster says the rules are clear and that Erik will be expelled. Erik requests the letter so that he may write to Marja, but the headmaster keeps the letter and advises that Erik should forget her. Erik calls his mother but has nothing to say to her. Pierre and Marja went and his expulsion is soon. There is nothing holding him back. He finds Otto in the middle of the forest. Erik threatens Otto and tells him that he will murder him in the forest. Otto is so afraid that he starts vomiting. Erik leaves him there, crying on the floor of the forest. Erik goes back to his room and remembers the business card that the family lawyer left him. Erik contacts the family lawyer and uses the actual national law to defend Erik, and threatened the school in order to get him his letter from Marja back. A few months pass and Erik is now graduating. He has managed to finally finish his time at school. He returns home to his mother and father. It is the same story with his stepfather criticizing him constantly. Erik sees some bruises on his mother's face, and it becomes clear that the stepfather has been physically abusing her as well. Erik informs the stepfather that he will be beating him and that he will leave. He will not tell anyone what has happened here. Erik apologizes to his mother and assures her that this will be the last time he uses violence like this. Even the stepfather starts to look very scared. In the closing scene, we find Erik meeting up with Pierre. We learn that Erik has started working at a legal firm and Pierre is off to business school. The two shake hands and say goodbye. Subscribe for more film recaps just like this. Leave a comment below and let us know what other recaps you'd like to see, and turn on notifications to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.